Being obsessed with fishing, you can't help it. It's innate. Like when I'm traveling and I'm flying somewhere, I'm looking out the window being like, oh, I bet there's some fish down there on that point, or, look at that drop off or that reef down there. Oh my God, I wonder what kind of fish are down there. But you don't even think about it. It just is in the back of your head all the time. It's what drives me to go do things. I mean, most people wouldn't travel to the other side of the globe, fly for 24 hours, then drive for 24 hours like we did in Australia, go out and fish in extremely uncomfortable conditions, sleeping on a 17-foot boat, 60 miles offshore, just sleeping in the boat for 3 days, but then you wake up on the Great Barrier Reef and you get to fish the reef, which is something that not many people get to do, especially in that style. Most people would never do that because it's so uncomfortable, but that driving force just like keeps me going, keeps me want to get out there and do it, and I can't help it. I can't turn it off. Like I really, really can't help it. And that's, but again, that's the driving force that really keeps me going, is wanting to explore new waterways and go to these places that most people never get to experience. And that's what it's all about for me. Well, I'm Captain Tyler Kapela, and yeah, I've been obsessed with fishing since I was a little toddler, actually, but there's been many experiences along my life that have really just culminated in my career today. I mean, start at the very beginning when I was a toddler. My parents say that when there was an old show called Marty Stauffer's Wild America. Some of you might remember it back in the day. When I was like 2 years old, if I was having a tantrum, they would put a video of Marty Stauffer's Wild America with the salmon swimming upstream, and it would calm me down before I could even talk, which is kind of crazy. So I guess you could say that it's, in my blood. I grew up in the foothills of Colorado Springs, Colorado, which is very far away from water, and my dad's not really a fisherman at all, but I was always obsessed with fishing, even as a young kid. And I would beg him to take me up to the trout farms and stuff like that, where you're shooting fish in a barrel, and just absolutely loved it. Didn't even care so much about bringing them home to eat back then, but just loved that. I mean, it just like captivated me ever since I was a little kid. And then I guess when I was about 9 years old, we moved to Florida, which of course there's water everywhere, fishing everywhere, sport fish capital of the world basically. And started out fishing for bass and bluegill in the little golf course ponds near our apartment. I remember, catching, I thought it was a 10-pounder back then, but probably wasn't, on a popar, the old popar, just in the old golf course pond, and ran up to our door and showed my mom, just absolutely filled with excitement, and just went fishing, had the opportunity to fish every single day once we moved here to Florida, which was awesome. And just, became more and more obsessed with the sport of fishing. But it was really when I was 15 years old, we went down to, took a guided trip for my birthday in the 10,000 Islands in Everglades National Park, and it just absolutely blew my mind. We're in a really wild area going deep into the Everglades and stuff. I caught my first snook then, and it was really on that day, that was like the pinnacle right there, that from then on I was really focused on, that's when I decided that I wanted to become a fishing guide and be one of these guys that I grew up watching on TV. And I kind of had an epiphany on that day. I was like, wow, if I can pursue a career as a professional fishing guide and hopefully be one of those guys on Saturday morning TV shows, like they can do it, why can't I do it? So that's when I really laser focused in on making that my career. I graduated right in the recession in 2008, which was really tough to get any kind of job with the environmental science degree that I had. But just worked around marinas. I refused to get a barback job or anything like that because it didn't really work towards the goal. So I was just working at marina jobs or boat rental jobs, just staying around that world, little tackle shops. Met a guy that loved to fish, that had his own boat, and he asked me to take him out, and he knew that I liked to fish. I took him out on his boat, and he was like, oh my God, we got to start a business, and you can run my boat and we'll start a fishing charter business together, and we'll just split it 50-50. It'll cover the cost of my boat. And he really helped me market that and start my guide business as a professional guide on his boat. which was awesome. That's really how I got my start. It was kind of crazy, it was just a broke fishing guide, just kind of starting out. I started writing magazine articles, trying to get my name out there just for free, not even getting paid. And I started writing magazine articles for North American Fishing Club magazine. And long story short, they liked what I was writing, sent their camera crew down to do a show with me as their featured captain with their host. And we absolutely crushed it. And we caught a bunch of big redfish and big spotted sea trout on the flats with topwater plugs. We caught a tarpon in March, which is crazy, and cobia and all this stuff. And I was like, man, this is gonna be on national TV, on NBC Sports for 6 months running, 4 times a week, whatever. And thought that was gonna be it. And then they called me back in August of that year, a few months later, and asked me to be their co-host of the show. And from then on, it was like literally my dream job. I was a professional fishing guide. I was the host of a national TV show, traveling around the world, and it was just a roller coaster of a ride. I did that for 4 years, ended up doing another show on the Discovery Channel as well called Discovering the Water. And so once the fishing shows had kind of run their course, I really focused in on being the best fishing guide on the best species around here that I possibly could. And of course, the most prestigious species that we have in the Tampa Bay area. We're very blessed to have an awesome tarpon fishery. That's why I have this guy behind me here. So that's like what I kind of developed a reputation around here for being one of the better tarpon captains out here. And just posting on Instagram and whatever all the time. And I really got, usually we'll get maybe a 1 or 2 200-pounders a year, just hammering the tarpon. That's all I do from April through July. It's just tarpon fish all day, sun up to sundown. And a couple years ago, we caught our first fish that was tickling the state record. It was that measured to 238 pounds is what the length and girth measurement put it on. It was an absolute beast. It kind of got everybody's attention. And that was a really, really special fish. It actually had only one eyeball. It was a really old, just crazy fish. And of course, from then on, I was just booking tarpon charters left and right. But then the next year, last year, we actually caught a fish that measured to 255, if you can believe it. And that's give or take 10 pounds on the formula. The state record is 243, I think. So this was probably a state record fish. It was unbelievably fat, just an absolute giant. I was tentative to post it because catching a borderline state record fish 2 years in a row is so improbable, but the pictures don't lie. I mean, we got the measurements on them, and 255 pounds. Of course, we let both those fish. I'm not concerned about having my name in the record books. It's all about preserving the tarpon, making sure you're getting them a healthy release and preserving the species. I've been a Yamaha guy since the beginning because everybody always says they were the most reliable motor out there, and I've certainly found that to be true. I mean, honestly, it's a fishing guide like me, a professional fisherman. You want to be able to rely on your motor and not even think about it, right? Just turn the key and go, and be able to get home safely, get out to where you want to go, and not having that, worry in the back of your head that something might happen. And having that peace of mind, knowing that your motor is the most reliable motor out there, is just so important. So you don't have to really worry about it. And that, it's not just me going out there. I'm in charge of up to 4 other people on my boat as well, and their safety. And sometimes we're running way offshore, and just knowing that motor is going to get you home is everything when you're out there as a professional fishing guide and captain. So yeah, there's a lot of, young kids, guys and girls that want to get out there, getting into the fishing industry. And the best advice that I could possibly give you is, number one is stay out there on the water as much as you possibly can, because that's really how you learn. You can learn from books and watching shows and YouTube and stuff like that, but getting that hands-on experience is the best way to learn, understanding patterns in nature, like when this weather pattern is happening, this is how it's going to affect the fish. That's the kind of stuff you can only learn by being out there on the water all the time. That's number one. And part of that too, number two, is really staying out there around the industry when you're first starting. You're not going to get all these opportunities to just go on a boat all the time, but if you take that marina job or that job in a bait shop, rather than taking a barback job to go pay your bills, which isn't really leading you anywhere, that's how you may come across an opportunity like I did, that you meet the right person that can kind of get you started. But it's all about staying around the water and the boating and the fishing industry is really how you get your start. And you got to be, if you're obsessed with fishing, like I basically became a fishing guide and do everything that I do to support my habit, because if I'm not out there on the water, it just crushes me on the inside. So I have to be out there. And that's really what it takes. You're probably not going to make $1 million being a fishing guide, but that's not what it's about for me. And if you're the same way, it's just be out there all the time on the water, and that's how you really learn to become better, and then you eventually get recognized and be successful.